outreach. To learn how you can support a child's journey, visit bgcmt.org.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan.
30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. It's the George Plaster Show, featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famers Kelly Holcomb and young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It's a beautiful Friday in Nashville. It doesn't feel like we're going to freeze to death. And in fact, the temperature is going to get warmer this weekend. And next week, the temperatures are going to be significantly better. So much so that I actually saw a 6, as in 60, one day.
No way.
Yeah. How about that?
That's something new.
That's true. That's Billy Derrick. Billy, show yourself.
There I am.
There's a mugshot. Any of you, if he's wanted in any states you know of, please let me know.
Yeah, it didn't take me 10 minutes to warm up my car this morning. That was nice.
Yeah, earlier in the week. We had a little Monday morning issue.
The wind today still gets you because you look at your phone, it says 35. Still felt like 25, 20 at times today. So,
yeah, it's not perfect, but it's also winter. Now, what went on like Sunday and Monday of last week, that's too much.
Yeah, we don't need any more of that.
So Kelly Holcomb has today off, which is normal in his world. Do we have anything resembling an update?
We've got an update today. It's brought to you by Lori Burnett Leland. You can find her online at mortgageladyusa.com or give her a call, 615-969-4350. The Preds get another win last night, their 5th straight over the Sharks, 6-5. The offense continues to erupt. Forsberg had a couple of goals. The Preds have won 5 straight games. They've scored 27 goals in those games. They're playing pretty well, George.
Well, they're scoring a lot of goals. Now, the question is...
Yeah, they're giving up some, too.
Yeah, the question is this the beginning of something better, or is this more San Jose sucks?
Yeah, because San Jose does suck.
Here's the, the I have a dream speech. They're 10 back of the 8th and final playoff spot. They are almost to the point where a couple more wins could have them move up a couple of places in the Western Conference. You let this team get within 5 or 6 points of the 8th and final playoff spot, and I might get kind of fired up.
Well, and the Ducks and the Preds both have similar records, so this is a big one for the Preds that they
Tomorrow
can
night.
get. But you're not playing the Sharks anymore.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep getting a lot of these down the stretch. But a big one tomorrow night in Anaheim. In the NFL,
hold on. I never thought I would stay up till 12:30 in the morning to hear somebody that I hired.
I would not have guessed you would have stayed up till 12:30.
Well, there was one gap in it where apparently I fell asleep and then woke up to find that it was 5-5, and it happened.
Defense gonna have to improve a little bit here down the stretch for the Preds. Want to keep winning. In the NFL, the Raiders have reached an agreement with Pete Carroll to become their next head coach on a 3-year deal with a 4th-year team option. He turned 74 in September, and he's now the oldest coach in NFL history. How about that?
I don't think that's true.
Yes, it is.
I don't think it is.
Why do you think that?
Check out, and I'm trying to think. All of a sudden, the name is escaping me. Excuse me. In Buffalo.
Who?
Look it up. Look it up. Who was the coach? He was almost 80 before he left office, so to speak.
I don't think you're.
Oh, I do think I'm right.
Pete Carroll breaking the record.
I don't care what that thing says.
Well, it would help if you named this
okay,
Bill.
well, if I could
Bills
name
coach.
it right now, I'm seeing his face, but I can't give you his name.
Senior
Who was
moment.
the Buffalo coach before this guy?
Coach before. Not Anthony Lynn. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, took him to 4 Super Bowls, and all of a sudden I can't think of his name.
Wade Phillips.
It was Marv Levy.
Marv Levy was not 74 or 73 when he took the Bills to the Super Bowl.
You might want to check that. You're going to find out I'm right.
George, this is out there by everyone.
I don't care who it's out there by.
All right, so how old was Marv Levy when he retired?
Yeah.
Marv Levy was 72.
Ooh,
So nice try there, George.
Okay, I was close.
Yeah, nice try.
Yeah. By the way, because you were certainly not going to say it.
You're trying to fact check me.
No,
on an
I'm not
update
trying
that
to. No, I'm not
day
fact
working on.
checking you. I knew I was close. By the way,
That's
feel
pretty
free
close,
not to give me credit for telling you 2 days ago that Pete Carroll was going to get hired.
Credit to you.
Yeah.
Doesn't
all of a sudden we
doesn't
remember.
it feel like he's been out longer than just a year, though?
No, it does not. Only to you. You've apparently tried to do it in dog years.
It just feels like no one's talked about him very much in a lot of these coaching searches.
I'll tell you what's going to happen. He will put a legitimacy to the Raiders that they have lacked.
Yeah, he'll be their 5th coach, including interim coaches, since they moved to Las Vegas, which is kind of ridiculous. They just they've been off. The Gruden disaster, I think obviously they hoped Gruden would have worked out.
Yeah, it set him back a ways.
But Pete Carroll to the Raiders.
Good for him.
Also,
by the way, 74 isn't as old as you think it is.
Well, he's 73. He's not 74
I should
yet.
know.
You should. How about the last couple of days here for Liam Cohen, the Buccaneers offensive coordinator? He told the team last night that he was leaving to coach the Jaguars. So he's the new head coach in Jacksonville. The last couple of days were insane for him. He pulled himself from consideration for the Jags job, then agreed to an extension with the Buccaneers that would have made him the highest paid coordinator in the league. And then he changed his mind after Jacksonville reached out to him to reconsider after it parted ways with Trent
Hold
Baalke.
on a minute. Let's get to the real deal here. Okay. When he went to interview, he told the owner in Jacksonville, there's no way in hell I'm working with Trent Baalke. Okay. That apparently was the latest in a series of these that Shad Khan had heard. Okay. So these candidates made it loud and clear. You've got an internal problem. Shad Khan then meets with Baalke and says, I can't make this work with you. Goodbye. And then he picked up the phone and called Liam Cohen and said, now that I've gotten rid of him, you want to talk. That's what happened.
What a mess the Jaguars are.
Liam Cohen was at Kentucky for a while, and I believe
he was going back and
Will
forth.
Levis's offensive coordinator.
Yes, he was. Then he was bouncing back and forth from Kentucky to the NFL from a 3-year period. So he's got a new job every other year, I feel like, Liam Cohen. But he is the new head coach with the Jags. He'll be working with the new GM. There's some questions around Trevor Lawrence, whether they're going to keep him or not. So a lot going on in Jacksonville. A lot going on.
Hold on a second. Did you happen, when you were taking some little swipes at me, did you happen to notice that Marv Levy is 99?
He's 99 right now?
I think so.
He was
2001, something like that.
Wow.
He's close to that. 97, 90.
He's 99.
99.
Wow.
Good for him.
So he was coaching the Bills in the Music City Miracle, or no? Who was the coach?
Yes,
Okay.
he was.
Okay. Yeah, he looks a little different now. So also a lot going on.
You get to 99, you will too.
A lot going on in the AFC South. I mean, we've got a new GM in Nashville, a new GM now, and a new head coach in Jacksonville. And now we've got a new offensive coordinator with the Texans. They have fired Bobby Slowick after just 2 seasons. They also fired their offensive line coach after, C.J. Stroud got knocked around all year. So they're making some moves.
Okay, so a year ago at this time, Bobby Slowick appeared to feel like he was on equal footing with Ben Johnson.
Yeah. Now he's looking for a job.
You know, I don't pretend to know exactly how they're trying to couch this, but there's no doubt that C.J. Stroud took some steps backward. Now, some of it is offensive line. I don't think all of it is. I don't think he was nearly as accurate.
Well, and his best receiver got hurt.
That didn't help him.
You know, so there was a lot there. Feels like a little scapegoat.
Tell you what, they got a number 2 that a lot of teams would wish to have. Nico Collins, big boy.
I think the Titans would like him.
Yeah.
Some college football notes. We talked about Tim Banks finalizing a deal with Tennessee. I think that was a couple of weeks ago. Well, the deal is done. He's got a new 3-year deal. It's been finalized at $2.15 million annually through the 2027 season. So felt like he was kind of walking on some thin ice, but now he's got some more money and some more security with Tennessee.
You know, it's interesting. There are coaches on the Division I level, MAC schools, you know, the smaller conferences, where head coaches aren't making that kind of money.
It's ridiculous. Wow. Well, and, you know, Tony's talked about it, Basilio, Kelly, obviously, and there's some Tennessee fans that aren't too pleased with what Banks has done. This defense this past year, they kept them in a lot of games. They flipped the script this year where the defense was actually winning them games. So
until the end.
Right. Earlier today, the college football playoff announced that Las Vegas will host the national championship game at Allegiant Stadium in 2027. It'll be in Miami next season for anybody who doesn't know.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think who it is they're replacing. They're replacing somebody. There will come a day
where this announcement is Nashville.
It's Nashville.
I was just thinking
I probably won't be doing this, but there probably will be a day.
Ohio State running back Quinshon Judkins is leaving school early and will declare for the draft. I don't know how surprising that is. He's a projected top 50 pick. Scored 3 touchdowns against Notre Dame. A couple of rushing and a receiving. So Judkins to the draft. Also, coming off one of the best seasons in school history, South Carolina has rewarded Shane Beamer with a new contract that will run through 2030. He'll be paid $8 million this year with $100,000 raises annually. The new deal includes a $5 million buyout if he leaves South Carolina the first year.
So this isn't aimed at Shane Beamer, but if you're making $8 million a year, why do you need raises?
It has to be recruiting, right? I mean,
I don't know.
Why else would you? Because he also, he gets a $2 million raise. He was only set to make 6. He goes from 6 to 8 this year. So Beamer with a new deal. We've got some lines out for tomorrow's SEC action. South Carolina is a home dog against Mississippi State. That's the first game of the day tomorrow. That's 6.5. Texas A&M is a 1.5-point road favorite at Texas in that rivalry. Kentucky is a 3.5-point favorite at Vandy tomorrow. That's not surprising. That's exactly what I thought that line would be. Georgia, big underdog tomorrow at Florida. Florida favored by 9.5. Missouri, this could be the best game of the day. Missouri minus 1.5 at home against Ole Miss. 2 ranked teams. Who would have thought that? And then Alabama favored by 16.5 against LSU. And I didn't see a line on Tennessee Auburn yet. I don't know if that's out.
You will.
I'm sure Auburn 5.
That's the headliner. To me, tier 2 is Kentucky, Vandy, A&M, Texas.
Yep. I think Texas wins tomorrow. They got a good win against Missouri at home earlier this week, and they're going to be desperate. I think that's a thing to watch in these SEC games. If you're at home and if you're desperate, if you're behind the 8 ball a little bit record-wise in the conference, like Vandy's got as good of a shot, as they did last week, I think, to beat Kentucky. Now, Kentucky can shoot the lights out a lot better than Tennessee, but either way, it's going to be another really good atmosphere there tomorrow.
Memorial Gym will be hopping.
Isn't it good to have that back?
Yes.
I mean, it's been, and Dane Bradshaw said this on the broadcast. He said, I haven't seen Memorial like this in 5 to 6 years.
Well, sure. What was there to get excited about? Jerry's $2,500 suits? I mean, look, I know I beat this to death, but you are really seeing what a waste of 5 years Vanderbilt basketball was under him. Lazy, worried about golf. Now you got a guy in there working his butt off, and look at what's happened. Listen, there are certain limitations to Vandy football. We all know it. We all get it. I don't think a lot of those limitations are there in hoops.
And you wonder what this can turn into in a behemoth of an SEC this year. I mean,
crazy league.
In this game tomorrow, if Vandy gets that, I mean, you're looking at only just a few more games now where, I mean, if you can pick off the games that they got Texas at home coming up here soon, you've got some teams like Auburn coming in here as well, Ole Miss, Georgia, like there's some opportunities out there.
Yeah, if they're 4-3, they'll be fully prepared to do a dance. And who knows, maybe a court storming.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if they do it again tomorrow.
Okay, after the break, former University of Tennessee basketball star Mark Griffin will join us for his weekly Friday visit. I see him ready and raring to go. So am I. This is 94.9 The Fan.
New year, new priorities. Family and safety come first. If a car or truck accident disrupts your life, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, experienced, and ready to fight for you. Call 615-242-9000. Happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456 7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonleyTimmons.com.
This is Kevin Ingram. It's a Saturday showdown at Memorial as Vanderbilt hosts Kentucky. Our pregame begins at 1. Join Tim Thompson and me for all the coverage.
Your sports live here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
About it. Virtually every weekend now during these 8-9 weeks of SEC basketball, you've got at least one game each week that is nationally ranked versus nationally ranked, and it's incredible. I'm not sure that those of us who go back 50 years with SEC basketball would have ever dreamed this. Tomorrow night, we got one of those with Tennessee visiting the number one ranked team in the country, the Auburn Tigers. Mark Griffin, former University of Tennessee star, joining us. How are you?
Great, George. Good to see you. Y'all dressed up today. What's up?
Yeah, I look like I'm going to Harvard or something. I don't know.
You did go to Vanderbilt.
Yeah, barely. How's Teddy?
Well, he's right beside me. If you didn't already hear him, you will, I'm sure, if anybody knocks on the door. Especially, we hadn't talked about Kenny the mailman, your buddy. He always comments about you when I do see him, by the way. He does listen to the show. So when he knocks on the door, Teddy will definitely reach out to him.
Yeah, but you can't pick Teddy up and let us see him.
Not now.
Okay. So let's talk Tennessee right now and what you really think they are and maybe what they aren't. Kind of give me your report card on them.
Well, report card right now, I mean, I don't know how you can't give them anything other than an A if you're a top 6 program. But I would say a low A in the sense that they're going to be at worst case a second seed. I think that's worthy of an A. What I'm going to go out on and mention as far as how I feel they will do in the regular season and what it's going to take for them to go far in the tournament is I'm going to pick on, I'm going to butcher his name too, George. Milicic.
Is it
Milicic?
Thank you.
Milicic. Okay, I always do that.
Dr.
But the transfer from Charlotte, I'm going to put a lot on his shoulders because he has not fared very well or consistent during the SEC play, but has shown some greatness before that. And I think for him to be able to extend the offense where he can be able to knock down three-point shots is really going to open up the middle more in Tennessee's favor. He's going to have to be more consistent because you have such steady play from other players for the most part. Gainey has stepped up a lot this year. I've seen great improvement from him at the guard play. And I just think that with the big kid from Charlotte, he's going to have to really step it up, continue to rebound and knock down shots, just have more complete play. And if Tennessee can get that and he can maintain his confidence, I think the sky's the limit. Because what I've seen with him is when he doesn't fare well, you get the bad body language. His head drops, and and just doesn't have the confidence. And he's just got to maintain that throughout this season. When times are good or bad, he's got to make a difference. And because you're getting consistency through with everyone else. I mean, Meshack, I thought that maybe he would shoot more 3-pointers, but he is who he is. He drives well, defensive champion as far as how he defends people. And then we can go on and on about the other players. Chaz Lanier is going to get his shots up. They're going to bump and bruise him as much as they can, but he's just a scorer, and I think he'll continue.
Okay, that's the perfect way to segue to this. Mark, tell me if you think this has been a mistake. I think some Tennessee fans and maybe the program in general said, okay, we don't have Dalton Connect, but we got Chaz Lanier. One equals the other. Well, one doesn't equal the other. No. Look, Chaz Lanier's a fine player, but Dalton Connect is a generational stud who you could clear the court against Purdue and say, take over, big boy. And those don't come along. Those don't grow on trees.
No, and it's not fair to Chaz Lanier. I mean, Chaz Lanier is being the best version of himself. He didn't expect nor need people to compare him to Connect just because they're both impactful transfers is why you're getting this. I think it's been a great opportunity for him and the Tennessee program for Chaz to come to Tennessee versus other top programs he was looking at. So let Chaz be Chaz. But, other than the missed free throw at the end of the game against Vanderbilt, which can happen to anyone, and that game was not lost on one play, I think he's played better than most of us would have thought throughout this season. He's definitely played better than I thought he would play for this season. I mean, he's averaging almost 19 points a game. But the thing is, they're going to have to continue to get scoring from him because they don't have the depth of shooters that you may need from this Tennessee team if he's not on, or if let's say Ziegler's not shooting well, or even Gainey.
Okay, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think I know you well enough that I can maybe lump us together on something. I don't believe that either one of us walked into Memorial Gym last Saturday saying, you know what, Vandy's going to win this game. I didn't, and I bet you didn't either.
No, I did make the statement that if Vanderbilt hit 8 3-pointers and their guard played really well, that they would have a shot, but never did expect that. No, I don't think anyone really did. People were hopeful, on the Vanderbilt side. Great crowd, great intensity, just a great game to watch overall. Even being a Tennessee fan, when I left Memorial, I'm like, wow, that was a great competition between two teams. So, good for Vanderbilt's program, and a game that, Tennessee, I'm sure, has moved on from, and you can only learn from and use that experience to know when you go into a hostile environment like they're going to down in Auburn tomorrow, to build upon what you can so that you're not in that similar situation as you were in Nashville.
Okay, let me try one more on you, see what you think. I'd been to some games before this one, and it's hard to judge in pre-conference. There are times where you don't know what you're getting. There are times where a team with a decent name turns out to be one that ought to play at the Green Hills Y 4-on-4 run and shoot in non-conference. So you never quite know what you're getting. Mark, yeah, I was really surprised Vandy won. I was stunned at the level of man-to-man defense that they put out there. That floored me.
Yeah, and another thing that was surprising, too, with Tennessee's defensive intensity, the ability for Vanderbilt to penetrate the defense and get easy buckets or 5-foot shots or even layups. They were able to drive consistently, and I was really shocked And then when you turned around and watched Tennessee's offense, they relied primarily on the perimeter. So it was a tale of two teams as far as their strategy. And obviously the better strategy was to get the ball inside and get to the free throw line if they weren't scoring, but they were able to get shots at will.
By the way, I haven't told you this. Guess who was listening to us last Friday?
Oh gosh, how would I even know?
Our mutual friend, Dane Bradshaw.
Oh, sweet. I think I gave him a shout out last week.
Bradshaw says to me Saturday, he goes, I heard you and your boy Griff. I loved it.
What was he doing at this time, huh?
Well, I don't know. He must have been bored out of his mind. I don't know.
Word spreading about your show, George.
My guess is he was driving in and may have punched up some things and mistakenly hit us.
What a great guy.
Yeah. And you know that I have used this theory that I first heard him put out in December, and I've tossed it at some people. And one of those people was our mutual friend, Tim Thompson, who I asked, can Vandy get in with a 7-11? And he said, I think it's possible, but the resume has to include something like beating a Tennessee or beating a Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
So now, a week later, they have a shot at Kentucky tomorrow. And I think they've got a halfway decent shot at this. If they can put Tennessee and Kentucky on their resume of really good wins, can my 7 victory thing hold up?
Wow, 7 victories, tough, George. I think it would be right there. What Lenardi talks about, the bubble team getting in at the end. But when the committee meets, and you see this every year, where they talk about big wins and they flash it on the screen. When you've got a top team in Tennessee, and if Kentucky keeps trending like they have, and if Vanderbilt can get a win versus Kentucky, it's only going to help their chances, because it goes back once again. We talk about every week is the NCAA evaluation tool, the net. You get a quad 1 victory versus a team like Kentucky. You keep adding up these quad 1 wins. It only enhances your resume, where it's hard to turn down a team like Vanderbilt in the SEC, because it's getting, the SEC is getting so much attention with the 12 to 13 teams. I still think it's going to be 11 that are going to get in, which is going to be historic.
By the way, as we look at what Lenardi has put out there, Billy, I don't know, does this include his new release today?
Not today. This is
today.
from,
okay,
I guess, a day or two ago.
Yeah. So, Mark, it feels to me like Tennessee's going to end up being a 1, a 2, or a 3, unless there's a total collapse that none of us see coming. But here's what I want to get to with you, because you always hear this thing about, well, it comes down to matchups, and certain teams match up better with certain teams. Well, okay, when we have that evaluation, you played Southeastern Conference basketball. I played Gray Y basketball, Green Hills Y. A little bit of difference. Why would Mississippi State give Vandy way more trouble than Tennessee was able to? And in your crystal ball, will Kentucky feel more like Mississippi State to Vandy, or more like Tennessee to Vandy?
Wow, it's a great question, and I wish I had a great answer other than, as far as matchups, you look to matchups, but it comes down to being effective and working your game plan and having a backup to your game plan when things aren't going well, taking advantage of certain time periods during the game. We talk about a lot in basketball going on runs. Every team goes on a run. That's why I don't really get nervous when you see a team go on an 8-0 run, because it's like, hey, they've got a run. Let's get a stop. and then it'll be hopefully the team you cheer for's opportunity to go on a run. I think what it boils down to is just some runs are longer than others, regardless of so-called matchups. Guys get hot, and you've got to have guys that can score and guys that can defend, and a lot of that comes down to guard play. Mississippi State is a perplexing team to me. I love Josh Hubbard. I mean, his vertical is unbelievable on his jump shot. I think they're overplaying right now to be where they are. I think Kentucky is a tougher matchup than Mississippi State. But then again, how are they going to fare coming into Nashville? I mean, I think that Nashville environment's going to be great at Memorial, and it should be. If it's not a sellout, it needs to be, because what a great opportunity for the Vanderbilt faithful and the players to this time of the year to really build some confidence. So it's going to be interesting, George. That's why we play the game. You just don't know what's going to happen, who's going to play, what calls go your way, and I don't even like to bring in the referees. They're going to do the best they can, but you just got to play. And a lot of the game that people don't really talk about enough. We talk about athletes, and you mentioned teams like Kentucky and these powerhouses, and this year Alabama and Auburn. But you got to go back to the mental state, and that's hard to measure. How mentally tough are these individuals when the ball's in their hand, when things aren't going well? How do these kids bounce back during tough times? And you just have to witness that game in and game out to see how they respond. And proof will be in the pudding here in the next, the future weeks to see how these guys fare.
Okay, last thing for you. This is the last of my mysteries. And again, you played SEC ball, and I was not as good as the trash talk I put out at the Green Hills Y many, many moons ago. I go into the game last Saturday knowing that there's a kid on Vandy's team with the last name of Carey. And that's about the extent of it. Mm-hmm. I've been hearing all along, but they don't have any size. And, against good teams, that's going to be a problem. And all of a sudden, this kid, Carey, comes in, who played for Byington at JMU and does a number.
Yeah. I
hadn't seen that before. So I'm going to ask this question. Can he do that against Kentucky?
No doubt. No doubt. He dominated that game. And I mean, I've heard of McLaughlin, and, he's getting his 8 rebounds a game and double figures and scoring. And then I see this Carey kid come in, and he's just pushing people around. And he reminded me of the Carey kid that played at Duke several years ago. I can't think of his first name, but they had a big kid at Duke. And I thought, is this his little brother? It couldn't be his son. I think it was Vernon.
Yeah.
And just with his physical strength was just pushing people around, and he probably could have scored 30 if they'd have got the ball to him even more, which showed me something that I haven't seen as far as Tennessee not being able to really belly up against strength, which is a concern. So if Carey can go in and be physical and not get into foul trouble and get to the free throw line, I think that's really going to really boost Vanderbilt offensively.
Okay, after the break, Mark, Billy Derrick will be front and center stage, and he damn well better have good questions for you. You got that, Billy?
Got it.
There's some pressure.
A little bit of pressure on him.
Very intense pressure. Man to man, full court.
It just means more.
Well, I've been told that. This is 94.9 The Fan. Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances. And Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
This is my buddy Stan Harrison from Apple Collision Centers. Recently, you've been talking to me about companies that have a fleet of trucks and they're always in need of repairs.
That's right, George. We understand that nobody likes to deal with the auto body repair process. We try to simplify that at our 3 convenient locations. We work with all major insurance companies. We help to ease the stress of the auto body repair process. We're located in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. If you need our services, please stop by and see us.
And how convenient that we have that in the background. Now, seriously, these are good folks. They do really good work. Give them a holler.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com. Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancoast Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3. Game after that interception.
Live, let's get this turned around. And we're all saying, no, they don't.
Here.
You thought you were on your way.
Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
We will take some of your phone calls and your text messages for Mark Griffin right at 4 o'clock. In the meantime, Billy, you have the floor.
Here we go. Mark, I want to go back to Saturday, Vandy in Tennessee. Zakai Ziegler sat the last 7 minutes of the first half. In the moment, you know, I don't know how many people were saying, well, where's Zakai? But by the time you got to the half, you said, man, we didn't have him for 7 minutes there. How were you surprised he was out for as long as he was? And number two, how does Tennessee go about, like, if that happens again, do you think, you know, because that will happen where he gets fouls. Where do you think Tennessee goes, you know, maybe the next time it happens?
Man, I was surprised. He had 2 fouls, and Coach Barnes took him out. I don't think Zakai's ever fouled out, so I don't really think that was an issue. But Coach Barnes and staff have their reason for their substitutes. Maybe it was time for someone else to step it up at point. Obviously, when Ziegler comes out, you move Gainey to point. Sometimes Meshack will run point. It did hurt Tennessee as far as the leadership on the floor. This is a different Tennessee team when Ziegler's not out there on the court. If it happens again, Tennessee will be in trouble again. If he sits the bench more than sits on the bench more than 3 or 4 minutes, there's concerns in the building because he is such a floor leader and makes things happen. He leads the SEC in assists for a reason. I think he had 5 steals against Georgia. Just a difference maker defensively. Just someone that I know the fans appreciate, and they're definitely going to appreciate looking back once he's graduated in the future of what he has brought to this Tennessee program, which has been tremendous. So to answer your question, there are concerns when he's not on the floor, but to Sakai's credit, he doesn't want to come off the floor, and he can play 37 minutes a game. You know, he's talk about when you get to March or you worn out, you got to understand you're dealing with the 21-year-old kid here that grew up loving the game. A lot of these young men, women that play the sport, they don't really get tired. They don't think about getting tired because they're so conditioned, and you love the game. You love to compete. You pretty much have to pull them off the floor. And I think that's the case with Sakai and several others.
Well, speaking of guys being off the floor, I know Tennessee fans hope Janai Broome doesn't go tomorrow for Auburn, but they played well without him. So, you know, either way, Auburn can still win the game. But he is a game time decision tomorrow night. How big will that be for Auburn if they get him back? Because you can't imagine he'll be at 100%, even if he does play, Mark.
I mean, he's, you know, Broome's one of the player of the year candidates. So any benefit you can get any time, if it's 3 minutes at a time, if he plays more than 10 for a game, or whatever they can get out of Broome is a bonus. Now, when people mention Auburn, the first thing that people mention is Broome and how great he's played, and not to take anything away from Janai Broome at all. But I did some research, guys, and I'm like, what is it about this makeup of the team? Well, most people know, yes, they've got great depth. They run guys in and out the whole game, really don't drop physically. When guys come in off the bench compared to your starters. But one of the biggest takeaways that I found that makes me really big on Auburn postseason and throughout the rest of the SEC season is their 4 guards average. On average, the 4 guards are looking at over 90% from the free throw line this season. I don't know if that's ever happened in a season, guys. Baker Mazzara is averaging 92.3. He's missed 5 free throws all season. So, Coach Pearl's a pretty smart guy. He's going to have that ball in his hands at the end of the half and end of the game, and that's going to fare well for this Auburn team. You can get the ball to Broome all you want on the inside, but when it really gets down to it, the guards are going to have the ball. And the way they've played so far as a unit, any of those 4 guards can have the ball in their hands, and there's a great chance they're going to knock down 1-and-1s and the 2-point shots once they're at 10 fouls.
By the way, I guess Vegas was waiting on the Broome news. Auburn is a 7.5-point favorite, which seems a little high to me. But Auburn is at home. And we'll see what happens tomorrow night. I want to go back to Kentucky real quick, Mark. They've got shooters all over the place. I mean, if anybody's got potential to blow you out, I think it's Kentucky. They've had a tough schedule. I do think tomorrow in Nashville could get out of hand potentially if Brea gets hot and Almanor and Robinson and all those guys get going. So how is this a different challenge for Vanderbilt as opposed to Tennessee last weekend? Like what should fans keep in mind tomorrow as the Wildcats come in town?
Well, I think what you're going to see is Vanderbilt's really going to spread their defense into the wings more because of what you just said, because of the shooting and various players that can get hot from the 3-point range. They're going to spread it out. And if Kentucky's going to have an advantage, it's going to have to come from the inside. If I'm Vanderbilt, That's what I do. I spread the floor defensively, make them put the ball on the ground. The goal, no easy three-pointers. That's a difficult task. But if you can face up defensively and not let guards beat you, because now, as you know, in basketball, when guards drive, they kick to the three-point line. They'll rather kick to a three-pointer than to score a layup. So the Vanderbilt guards are going to have to be really sharp defensively, not let them get blown by, and be there on the wing, ready when Kentucky is able to try to knock down three-point shots. Just spread it out, let them beat you inside, because you can't guard everything. I mean, obviously you want to block out with their bigs that George talked about earlier with McLaughlin and Carey, Manone as well. But, you just don't want to let Kentucky outshoot you from the perimeter throughout the game. And I'm really big on Robinson. I watched him play several times. I think he's the engine that makes Kentucky go offensively. I would start with him, and when he came through the lane, I'd make sure I put a good body or elbow on him so that he would think about coming through the lane again.
All right, let's get to the MIT. This week's most important transfer. Who you got this week, Mark?
Well, I look at an opponent each time that Tennessee plays on the weekend, and obviously Auburn fans know about this young man, Miles Kelly. I didn't know as much about him because they have so many good guards. And then I looked him up, and I'm like, this guy was Georgia Tech's leading scorer last year at almost 14 points a game, second in rebounding. He scored 36 points against Louisville. And then now he transfers over to Auburn, and he's not going to be the star player. But you can understand why he would switch. You're playing at Georgia Tech, you're going to be a bottom feeder in the ACC. You come over to Auburn, you got a chance to play for a national championship and a fun style that Coach Pearl coaches. So he's my most important transfer for this week. You see his numbers, putting together a really consistent shooting season with double figures in points, one of the top three-pointers in the SEC, and definitely an elite free throw shooter.
I like this one even more, though. Nothing but net surprise team. What Pat Kelsey has done at Louisville has been unbelievable, especially with what happened last year at Louisville.
Who did they just go wax, Mark?
Oh, gosh.
It was three nights ago.
Pittsburgh or no?
I'll find it. Keep talking.
Yeah, please do. They've waxed a lot of people. And what's interesting about Louisville that's not on here, their losses, they have 5 losses, but 4 of them, check this schedule out for who they played so far. They lost to Duke, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Ole Miss. And that's quite a schedule. Because you look at their quad 1 wins and it's 4 and 5, you think, well, that's pretty good. But you look at the strength of the schedule, which is measured, that really has prepared them for the ACC, in which I marked here that they're 8-1. They're second in the conference behind Duke. And what's interesting enough, looking at Louisville history, they're on their 4th coach since 2017. I mean, you've got to go back to Rick Pitino back in 2017 before last time they went to the NCAA tournament. This is not a program that is used to not losing. When you go back, especially for us older people from the 80s and the 90s, and what a powerhouse Louisville's been when it came out of the Metro Conference, George. You remember those days?
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, I had to broadcast against it.
Oh, there you go. But, and then the debacle with Kenny Payne. I mean, they won 12 games in 2 years. And then you find this guy, Pat Kelsey, whose pictures here displayed. I mean, it's not like he's been coaching for tons of years. I mean, they find him from Charleston. So what a great find for the president and the athletic director at Louisville. They got themselves a steal, and I'm really pleased to see this surprise team. I hope that Louisville continues to do well with the strong basketball state of Kentucky. It's just good for basketball, I think, when Louisville fares well.
By the way, it was SMU that they went down to Dallas, beat by 25.
Wow.
25.
On the road.
Yeah, how about that?
It's crazy how down the ACC is.
Yes.
They're pretty good. They are pretty good.
By the way, we got to bring up North Carolina eventually with Mark, too.
Yes, we do. Ooh.
No inside game. They got a lot of guards, no inside.
Didn't see that coming.
No.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. Y'all have been quiet the last couple of days. I want that to stop. Mark's really good, as you all can tell. I want some phone calls for him, and I want some text questions. Phone number, 615-553-0933. Again, 615-553-0933. Yeah, we're going a little bit earlier than normal, but I want some phone calls for Mark. Billy, what about the text?
The chat room's open. Go to YouTube, type in your question. The right side of the screen there. You can do it on a laptop, on your phone as well. You can also chime in on Twitter and Facebook if you'd like to that way. We'd love to hear from you.
Stat of the day after the break, and then to y'all talking with Mark Griffin next on 94.9 The Fan.
Where can you see a saber-toothed tiger rappel from the rafters? How about a catfish fly? The biggest stars in Music City. Not to mention hockey's hottest ticket.
The Predators win!
Only in Smashville. See your Nashville Predators all season long at Bridgestone Arena. Single game tickets are on sale now at NashvillePredators.com. Let's go Preds!
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Trax machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
The George Plaster Show gets advertisers the results they're looking for. For example, here's Metro Nashville police officer Garen Hoskins.
You hear me all the time on the show talk about, changes in career and people looking to serve their community and get into law enforcement and join a great department. And I just so happened to meet an individual who heard my segment on your show and has already applied, has come from multiple different career paths and has always had this dream. And we're very glad to have him. And that's just going to be the start of many.
If you want to be part of the Plaster Show advertising family, it's simple. Just email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Again, plastergeorge@gmail.com. We will fit your budget and your needs.
I'm going to acknowledge that John Harbaugh is going into the last year of his contract, and this playoff loss makes for an interesting decision this offseason in terms of what they're going to do from a contract extension standpoint. And I ain't changing the quarterback. So if I'm not getting rid of him, the obvious answer would be the head coach.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
I look at what happened with Chicago, and some of it was outside of Caleb Williams' control, but a lot of it was him too, holding on to the ball too long. He looked like a rookie at some point. Jaden Daniels has looked like anything but a rookie. So I think he could have gone anywhere and been better than a lot of other quarterback situations. And if you're any other team in the NFC, watch out.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday morning starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
You can't miss a moment with Greeny.
We came in here the morning after Detroit lost to San Francisco in the NFC Championship game last year, and I said they will rue that loss. This assumption that they just get right back to this spot next year because they seem a year ahead of schedule because they're so young and good, and this is just the beginning. I've seen that happen in sports a million times. It usually doesn't go that way.
Mike Greenberg, Greeny.
You cannot take the number of terrible sacks that C.J. Stroud took in that game. You cannot leave all those points on the field with your kicker, with the field goals that he missed and you get blocked and missing an extra point. You can't do those things against the two-time defending champs in their building and come back and tell me the refs are the reason that we lost. That really rubbed me the wrong way.
Greeny, weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Plus, you can watch and listen on the ESPN app.
Your sports live here. WBUZ HD3 Laverne. All around the world on the Game Nashville app. We are the Game Nashville Sports Network. ESPN 94.9. The Fan. A Cromwell media station.
It's the George Plaster Show.
Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Keeping out with Mark Griffin coming up. But first stat of the day brought to you by Apple Collision Centers. You can find them in Old Hickory, Hendersonville, and Gallatin. Give them a call, 615-754-9800, or log on to their website. That's applecollisioncenters.com. All right. See what we got today. I think, we've got college basketball today. And we're going a little Vandy. Kentucky comes to Memorial Gym tomorrow. When was the last time Vanderbilt beat Kentucky at home?
Kevin Stallings last year.
Which was?
16. Mark, feel free if you think it was another time.
George, I am not a good historian like you are. I will pass on this one. I have no clue.
It is 2016.
Wow.
At the time, I thought that had saved Kevin's job. And as it turned out, it may not have. He ended up going to Pittsburgh, and the rest is history. But that was a big win. Mark, revisionist history, probably be a little kinder to Kevin since he got them to the NCAA tournament 7 times in 17 years. And since then, they have been once in 8.
Wow. Looking brighter, George. Things are looking brighter on West End.
Yep, it is. Okay, here's where we are. Absolutely no phone calls.
Maybe I've answered everything, George. I got two more good stats for you though. If we don't get any calls, just let me know.
Hold on to that. But I want a phone call or two as well at 615-553-0933. Jump in there.
Let me go ahead.
Start with a few text questions.
George says, Mark, what do you think of top prospect AJ DeBansa? I think that I have no clue if that's how you pronounce it, but signing with BYU. He's from the same hometown in Massachusetts as marvelous Marvin Hagler.
Marvin Hagler
won a U18 gold medal and set up a foundation for youth in his hometown. Many people have him as the best prospect out of Massachusetts since Patrick Ewing.
Wow.
Well, George will be glad, not you, Plaster, George Barclay.
Okay.
Will be glad to know that I am familiar with AJ DeBansa. I've actually seen him play in person on the Nike circuit last summer, and he is incredible. When I saw him play, I saw him in Memphis plays for a team. He played for a team out in California. And there were people lined up 5 deep to watch his team play. I swore after watching him as a junior, the summer after his junior year, that the way he dominated, he could have gone to the NBA in the first round right out of high school. He will be a guy that you will hear about for years. He's that good, such a difference maker. Going to BYU, that's why he went to BYU. BYU, I don't know the exact number. It was revealed in social media, several $1 million for him to go to be a one and done. So quite the coup for BYU for one season, and he's a difference maker, and you will hear a lot more about BYU next season because of him. They will be getting a lot of focus. Can turn a program around, even if it's just one season. It'll be great to see him play, and I'm excited that George's Barclay is well aware of this gentleman because he's going to be a name that we'll be talking about for years.
Okay, Billy, you remember you heard this from me. You ready?
I'm ready.
So somebody out there sitting there saying, why would he go to BYU? I'll tell you why. Well, I mean, I think we know the other reasons, called moolah.
He's not a Mormon, I don't think.
But the Marriott Center where they play puts over 20,000 in there a game. And in fact, there are about 4 venues out west that get no attention that are really good. The best one is the Pit in New Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
We hosted the 82 Final Four when Valvano's NC State team won the title. You remember what I'm talking about?
Oh, sure.
Okay. The Pit. That's where that game was played. This thing at Utah State, it's not as big as either one of these that I've just mentioned, but that Utah State place is really good.
And they're good. Utah State's good this year.
Very good. And then San Diego State plays in the Viejas Center. What do I know about Viejas? Nothing. Thank you.
From Justin, what can the Vols do to get more consistent play out of Milicic?
I think if it's anything, it's just continuous reps. And you learn, you improve during practice. So you do, I really do believe you play like you practice for the most part. Now, there are exceptions to that rule. Tony White was one of them from back in my day. He hated practice, and he would go out and do just enough to embarrass you, and that's it. And then he would turn it on during a game. I think to get more consistent play, it starts with practice, and it's going to start with doing the little things that Coach Barnes is really preaching. I'd like to see him hang on to a few more rebounds. Now, he did have the one great game. I think he had 16 rebounds, but there's a lot of times where he just doesn't pull the ball down effectively and really fight to hold on to it. I think some of this is effort. So to be consistent, I think it's going to come down to effort, really being strong mentally. He gets to the free throw line, he can knock down shots. I would like to see him maybe take a 3-point shot more a game, because what you'll see, I guarantee you'll see this at Auburn. First time he receives the ball, you'll see a shot fake from 3. So if I'm Auburn, I just back off of him, because every time he catches the ball, he shot fakes and then he passes. He doesn't just go right up with his shot. So I'd like to see him just go ahead and take that shot, let it go during a good time of the offense, not during the early part of the offense. Coach Barnes is a big stickler about rushing shots. But when he has the shot opportunity, take your shot. Coach Barnes, from his past 10 years, has not taken guys out from taking so-called good shots when they run the offense. He just has to be able to get up a shot, and then that makes the defense respect him, where he can work on driving and getting to the basket.
Billy, hold on to the final text question. Dave on line 1. Say hello to Mark Griffin.
Hello, Mr. Griffin. How are you?
Hey, Dave. Good to hear from you.
Mr. Griffin.
Listen, I'm a Vanderbilt fan for years. Have they ever had a first-team All-American at Vanderbilt?
George?
It depends. I mean, I would assume Clyde Lee might have been, depending on. There's so many different teams. Will Purdue was probably
got accolades. I don't know if he got he wasn't first team, but he was definitely first team all conference. Now SEC conference a lot, but All-American, I can't think of any.
So under the category of
Mike Rhodes.
Don't think so. Now let me say this: I'm biased because he and I are really good friends.
You love some Mike.
Oh, I love some Mike because I think he's the best pure shooter that I have ever laid eyes on. It was ridiculous, some of the things he could do, and very unorthodox, Mark, in that he would bank what now is considered the 3-ball.
He banked that wing 3.
He would bank the wing 3, and he and I have had some fun.
Little known fact with Mike Rhodes, because I used to study back in the day when you go to the Tennessee State Championship, which has been in Memorial, but mainly in Murfreesboro. Yes. Mike Rhodes set a record as far as points that was held for years as the state's leading scorer in the state tournament.
So, Mark, he and I are the same class at Vandy. And so early that year, I don't know, we were in the same room and he goes, "I'm Mike Rhodes." And I said, "I know exactly who you are." And so he said, "How do you know who I am?" And I told him, I said, "The game you just talked about, I was at. We were on spring break. And while the rest of Battleground Academy was in Florida, I was in Murfreesboro. Mike Rhodes must have had like 28 points in the fourth quarter of whoever they were playing. I couldn't have cared less. But I know a thing or two about Perry County. Mark, before we go any farther, you'll love this one. So Mike calls me. This has probably been 10 years ago. And he said, "I need a huge favor." So he was flying out to Hawaii where Vanderbilt was playing in a tournament. And he said, "Is there any chance that when we get back, you would pick me up at the airport and drive me to Perry County? And my mom is willing to throw in an inducement."
Cook.
And I said, "What's that?"
"You got to cook for you.
"We're going to delay Thanksgiving a day for you. Ask me if I accepted the offer."
I already know that answer, and everybody that knows you, George, knows that you're not turning down a meal from anybody that can cook.
The answer was not yes, but hell yes.
Yeah.
So
What was fine?
After I've eaten these people out of house and home, first of all, there must have been 25 of them there.
Wow.
They all know who I am, but I have no idea who a bunch of them are. At the end, as I'm driving back to Nashville, Mike calls me and says his mother at the time was late 80s. She's now in her 90s and is amazing. And she says to him, "He seemed to enjoy my cooking."
All right, we got a couple more actually.
Okay, let's go.
From Tony in Nolensville, it's obvious the home teams are winning the majority of these games. At what point in the season will there be the separation or movement of the top teams, the middle of the pack, and who's bringing up the bottom tier?
That's a great question.
It is. Well, I don't know exactly what moment. As far as separation, I'm just going to call that a weekly basis, guys, because you get these teams like Missouri. I mean, I was sitting here discounting Missouri last week on your show to say they weren't even a top 12 team in the conference, and Lenardi's got them as a 7 seed. I see Oklahoma dropping off. not even making the tournament. That's my prediction just based on the eye test. But what do I know? What can Arkansas do? Now, Boogie Flan gets hurt and Arkansas plays the best game of the season without him, and he's a future NBA draft pick. That's going to be the fun thing about following the conference this year. And if you follow other conferences as well, Billy mentioned the lowly ACC. At what point do we see the separation? I think it's just going to play out through the year. Some of that's going to be based on injury and certain guys stepping up that may not consistent play out of your star players. It's going to be fun.
Stormy is next on line 2. Stormy, welcome.
Welcome, George. Thank you for having me, and it's always good to hear about a good Thanksgiving meal, no doubt about it.
I can tell you this, at the Rhodes house, they didn't lack good food.
Well, I can only imagine. Perry County is pretty well noted for the good cooks. Hey, I've got a question. Teams like Drake and Bradley and Creighton that are still playing well, the mid-majors that used to be in the old Missouri Valley, and they used to play in the pit, I guess, New Mexico State and those teams way back in the day. How are they going to make a run in the NCAA tournament now that all these big schools are spending the mega bucks on the NIL money?
Mark, the one I keep hearing about, and I didn't get a chance to see them when they came in here, was Bradley.
Yeah.
Bradley.
Well, it's interesting.
One kid that can really play.
Yeah. I haven't had the eyeball test on Bradley to know enough about them other than what I hear. But look, the gentleman Stormy mentioned Creighton. Now Creighton is not a surprise team. I mean, once again, I butcher names. That's why I don't do this as a profession. Is it Kalkenheimer or
Kalkbrenner?
Okay, see, that's why this is not my day job. But you've got this kid that's towering over people and high expectations. And I don't know what Creighton preseason ranking was, but I want to say it was top 15. And then they had some disappointing losses. But once you get back into conference play and get on a roll, beat your opponents and build your resume, not through the quad system, because there's not going to be many quad 1 wins, if any, within the conference, but you have a great record. And especially if Creighton can, win the conference and then also win the tournament, it goes back once George talked about matchups. And you got a great coach, McDermott. You've got seasoned players that have gone through his system that play hard. That's one thing that when I've watched Creighton play in the past, I was just really impressed how they were able to get ball movement, everyone involved, and a lot of guys moving. And as a defender, that's the last thing you want to see is your opponent on offense moving without the ball, because that's where you get tired. You get these programs like, we talk about the NBA, which I hate to talk about. You get standstill offenses where you're running off a center and you're shooting a three, and you got 3 guys standing to the sides. Well, and with Creighton's offense, you've got 5 guys moving throughout the perimeter and the big guy inside, and that makes it difficult.
Check out Utah State next time they're on CBS Sports Network.
Yes.
They're a pain in the butt to guard. Good team.
All right, last text question here. Have the Razorbacks, from Trevor, met expectations in the first year under Coach Cal, or are they just a lot of flash with no punch?
All had no cattle.
Yeah. Well, as far as meeting expectations, that would be a negative. But once again, you talk about Calipari's teams, you get them early. You got to get them early. Now, you could say, well, when do they really shine? They don't shine. They haven't shined in the postseason tournament. So when do you get them? It's that February to March time period is when his team seemed to play well, early March. With all that talent, man, it's amazing when I watched them the other night. There's so much talent, guys. Yeah. And they just seem to be really enthusiastic more and seem to have more fun than they've had in the past. And I hate it for Flan to be out. I love number 3, Thero. Just a great athlete. Wagner's played even better now with the ball in his hands. He just seems to be more of a true point guard, because the problem with Arkansas in the past, you had Boogie Flan point guard, you had Wagner point guard. Well, Wagner just didn't seem to play as well on the wing. And now that you put the ball in his hands, it's really opened up the offense more. And I still think they're a team to be reckoned with because they have so much talent. It'll be interesting, but to me, they've been the most disappointing team so far early in the conference, even with just the one win that they had the other night. They are, to me, below expectations.
Okay, let's end it this way. Do you think Tennessee can win tomorrow night?
I think it's a tough matchup, George. I think a lot of things have to go right for Tennessee, and a lot of things have to go wrong for Auburn. Now, Auburn is tremendous at home. I don't know their record over the last 3 years at home or since Pearl's been there, but I guarantee he's probably lost maximum of one game per year.
2.
Yeah, if, just a crazy record. Their little arena is so loud. It's built for him. But the point I wanted to make before you cut me off, you got to look at their strength of both programs. And I looked this up, but Auburn, what's brought them to the table, guys, they're 10th in the nation in scoring. Tennessee is 3rd in the nation in opponents scoring. So something's got to give. Now, one more thing. Field goal percentage, Auburn is 6th in the country in field goal percent. Well, guess what? Tennessee is 2nd in the country in field goal defense. So you've got these two opposing metrics here, and one of them has to give. So which one will it be? Will Tennessee hold Auburn to a low in field goal percent, or will Auburn score at ease? Will it be a high-scoring game, which will favor Auburn, or will it be a low-scoring game, which will favor Tennessee? For Tennessee to have a chance, Auburn can't score in the 80s. It just can't happen.
Who wins Vandy, Kentucky?
I'm going to go Vanderbilt. After going to the game last weekend and seeing that crowd, which I haven't heard that in years, and the students, a lot of people overlook the importance of the students. I love where their students are positioned because it's rare to have such good seats in the SEC where their students are, and they packed it, and they were loud. And I can guarantee you tomorrow there'll be more students if they can get in, if they don't hit their maximum limit. I think that Memorial magic, the crowd, the inspired play as a team, they cut down mistakes. You just don't see a lot of mistakes that are going on with the team as far as turnovers that you sit there and go, God, that was a dumb turnover. If they can have steady play and not turn the ball over, get in the face of the three-point shooters, I think Vanderbilt's got a really good shot.
They really put pressure on teams, defensively. And I can't remember the last time there was a Vanderbilt team that defensively, and you go back and watch his James Madison teams, Mark, that's what they're built on. They put pressure on you to go make a play, and it's like, oh, they slapped it on it. The clean strips, the amount of clean strips they have, it stuns me.
Well, and they're just coaches on the floor. I see this team, and it really blows my mind because of what he started with and what he put together in such a short period of time, regardless how they do the rest of the season, guys. It's miraculous what he's done, Byron, in the short term, to put together a team of mainly transfers to come together and play as a unit to where it's we versus me is incredible.
Mark, thank you as always. We'll do it again next Friday.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward this weekend. Thanks again, guys.
It will be good stuff. Okay. We thank Mark Griffin for taking the time to join us. Another Mark McGee, to talk the Preds and their 5-game winning streak. What does it mean? Not sure. Mark may have the answers on 94.9 The Fan.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
It's easy to say good things about the folks at Strike and Spare Family Fun Centers. Number one, I trust them with something that's near and dear to me, the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. But more importantly, I see the fun people have. They enjoy the bowling, they enjoy the camaraderie, and you will too. Come by any of their locations and get ready to have some fun. Here's Officer Garen Hoskins for the Metro Nashville Police Department.
The Metro Nashville Police Department is on the forefront of policing in this century, and I'm glad I'm a part of it. I'm glad I get to find other good officers, other future good officers. And if you're watching today, or you yourself or someone you happen to know is interested, join MNPD.com. Feel free to reach out to us because we need good officers, and it's a great city to work for.
Are you concerned about the Medicare Part D changes for 2025? Believe me, you're not alone. You need to contact Pancoast Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3. You need to contact Pancoast Benefits. They'll make the changes clear and easy to understand. Trust Pancoast to guide you through it all. Their knowledgeable team is here to help you understand the updates and make informed decisions about your Medicare coverage. Don't navigate these changes alone. Call Pancoast Benefits today at 615-292-3400 and choose option 3, or visit pancoastbenefits.com. That's 615-292-3400 and choose option 3. The George Plaster Show gets advertisers the results they're looking for. For example, here's Metro Nashville Police Officer Garen Hoskins.
You hear me all the time on the show talk about changes in career, people looking to serve their community and get into law enforcement and join a great department. And I just so happened to meet an individual who heard my segment on your show, has already applied, has come from multiple different career paths, and has always had this dream. And we're very glad to have him. That's just going to be the start of many.
If you want to be part of the Plaster Show advertising family, it's simple. Just email me, plastergeorge@gmail.com. Again, plastergeorge@gmail.com. We will fit your budget and your needs.
This is Kevin Ingram. It's a Saturday showdown at Memorial as Vanderbilt hosts Kentucky. Our pregame begins at 1. Join Tim Thompson and me for all the coverage.
Your sports live here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
Golden years. Man, that was, is that David Bowie?
I have no idea.
That was back when I was in high school.
I wasn't even a thought.
Boy, do I have a thought.
What's your thought?
I'm not saying it.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, you're welcome. So Mark McGee should be joining us here in just a second. And as soon as we have him on, we'll bring him to you. I'm told he's there. So let's talk a little Predator.
I'm here.
Excellent. Beautiful.
I'm here. Oh, I don't know why was it going through.
Well, it's working fine now, so we got you. You ready?
Good. Yeah, I'm ready. Ready to shoot it.
Is this 5-game winning streak the beginning of better times, or is it more who they're playing?
Well, I think it's been better times. They played some great teams. I mean, they beat Vegas Knights. They beat the Wild. They beat some really good teams. San Jose is giving them a rougher time than you would think San Jose should give them. Though San Jose is better than they were last year, but they're playing some pretty good. They're playing some pretty good hockey right now. So I think it's a combination of the two. But what I like about they're scoring a lot of goals. I mean, the offense is finally perked up. Philip Forsberg is now Philip Forsberg again. I don't know where he went to for about 18 games, but he is back being Philip Forsberg, and that first line looks pretty good again. So, and the young guys are stepping up. So, I feel like I think it's a combination.
Do you think they make a run to get in, or is this just me with wishful thinking, wanting games in March to matter?
Well, I think they can make a run. I mean, the thing about this, Calgary, we were talking about this earlier today, Calgary is the team they have to really target right now, and Calgary's not giving up. I mean, Calgary's not letting go. Calgary's playing really good, and so I think that's a problem for them to deal with because Calgary's not slacking off at all, and that's the target they have, and they're like 10 points back from Calgary. So is it insurmountable? No, but it's going to be a really tough time of it to get to that point. I think it can happen, but I mean they're going to have a streak almost like last year, which was a record winning streak. So.
Philip Forsberg, by the way, has scored a goal in 7 consecutive games. Got that streak continued last night very early. Mark, they have infused
after a long drought. After the long drought he had.
Yeah. So they've infused 4 or 5 new guys, and you really have to have a roster in front of you to know who everybody is. You keep up with it pretty closely. Who's catching your eye of the young group?
Well, Fedor Smekko is really looking good right now. I mean, of course, he has the go-ahead goal last night, and he's got like 6 goals right now from us, and is playing really well and several assists. And he's been back and forth between Milwaukee and Nashville. He doesn't want to go back to Milwaukee, and he's playing like he's not going to go back. And you've got defense. You got Adam Wilsby, who is playing very strong defensively. He's a very competent kid, and for a kid that's that young, it's hard to have it's unusual for a kid that young to play defense so confident. And he's playing a lot of minutes. He's another one that probably is not going to. It's playing like he's not going to go back to Milwaukee. Now we talk a lot about the prospects in Milwaukee. Milwaukee's had great seasons the last 2 or 3 years, and are back farther. And and you're seeing that now. A lot of these young guys coming up. Yeah, the roster now compared to what it was at the beginning of the season is vastly different than what it was. So it's a much different. Blankenship is looking good. You got the goaltender, and Justin's looking good at goal. So I mean, there's just a lot of good young guys who are playing like they don't want to go back to Milwaukee.
Okay, let me try this one on.
Wilsby on defense.
Let me try this one on you. I've looked at their schedule. From here to the end of the season, it's one of the easier schedules in the league. So let's say they start to make a little bit of headway. maybe get it to within about 6 points of that 8th and final spot. What does Barry Trotz do as he approaches the trade deadline?
That's one thing that people are considering right now. I think a lot of people are wondering just what he will do. I think that you were hoping to be in the playoffs. You weren't hoping to have to fight for a wild card spot. But I think that if he feels like he can get this team in the playoffs, even if because I feel like this is a team. You talk about teams that can make noise in the playoffs, or teams that nobody wants to play. Right now, the way Nashville's scoring goals and the way they're playing, I don't think they're a team that people are going to want to play in the playoffs because everything seems to be clicking. So I think that's one thing to look at. But I think he will probably make some moves. Ryan O'Reilly's name is popping up now as a possible trade situation. So his name's popping up already. So and O'Reilly, for a team that needs some help down the stretch, O'Reilly could be could bring in a pretty good player in return, I would think. But I think that's something he's going to be looking at.
Mark, do you think Barry has a magic number? For instance, if they get within 5 or 6 points of the 8th and final spot, that he says, no, I'm not going to trade off people. Is it a magic number, or is it more a feel?
I think it's going to be more of a feel that how the team is playing and what kind of, how confident they are, and how much he feels how confident they are. I think one thing, look at this team right now is Andrew Burnett's taking a lot of flack, but this is a team that's gone through a lot, and they have not given up. They have not given up. A lot of people would like for them to, so they get a higher draft pick. But this is a team that's not given up, and I think that has a lot to do with where Andrew Burnett is running this dressing room. Now, if they do fall apart toward the end, maybe Barry has to think about it and think about Andrew's situation. But right now, you can't really fault Andrew Burnett for the way he's working that locker room, working that dressing room, and has those players ready to go.
Mark, I hear where you're going, but I'm going to throw one out there, and I want you to react to it. Tuesday night was a great comeback. They're down 5-1. They don't quit. They come back. But they no more were ready to play at the beginning of that game than the man in the moon. And I see that too often. And to me, that is on Andrew Burnett.
Well, that was especially true earlier in the season as well. They just weren't putting out the effort that they need to put out, and they were, you're right, they were very lackluster in that game, and for a long time. So that seems to be, I don't know what, probably that is some. I would say, yeah, that is an Andrew Burnett for not having them ready to go every game. But these are professional players. They shouldn't have to be pushed by a coach to be playing at top level every time they go out. And frankly, with this team right now, every game is like is like a playoff game for them to try to get back in the swing of things here.
Mark, whatever happens, am I right that he's got a bunch of draft picks stocked up?
I'm sorry?
Mark, I don't know if you heard me on that. Am I right, no matter how all this plays out, that Barry has a bunch of draft picks that stocked up?
Yeah. Next 2 years.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about
that. That's something that David Poyle started. David always was really good about looking ahead a year and seeing how strong a draft was going to be. And he would stockpile players in accordance to that. And I think Barry's doing the same thing. And he's got a ton. There's a ton of prospects sitting in Milwaukee that still that could help them out if they need them. And you've seen how many players have come up already this year to help out the team who have played well. And the depth of this team from that standpoint is strong. And he's got a lot of things he could do trade wise with those draft picks and that type of thing. And so I think that the future of this team I think is strong. but it's just, and for whatever reason, things just, it was like a nightmare that would never end for a long time, but the season for a lot of the time. And I think this is a team that is building. Wasn't really a rebuild, but he's done a lot of retooling with this team, and I think so far that retooling has been pretty successful.
Okay, let me end it this way. Your gut feeling, do they make a serious run to get in?
Well, I'm going to kind of have a milquetoast answer a little bit, but I think that they've got, if they can stay healthy and these young guys continue to produce, and that top line, Stamkos is centering that top line, keeps that, and Forsberg keeps going. That top line keeps on playing strong. Yeah, they've got a chance, but Calgary's going to have to fall too. Calgary's going to have to help them, and Calgary really hasn't had what I would call a huge slump yet. So I mean, and maybe they're due for one here pretty soon. But like you say, the Predators have a pretty easy. They got the Sabres a couple of times coming up in the season. They've got the Islanders a couple of times. They've got some teams that are not very strong that they're going to be playing down the line here. Like I say, and so I think things could fall together for them where they get that second wild card spot.
We'll keep our fingers crossed. Guy, you have a good weekend. Thank you for taking the time to join us.
Glad to do it. Sorry I had trouble getting me on the phone. We're going to work that out somehow. I don't know what's going on. All right. Talk to you later.
Talk to you. Mark McGee joining us to talk a little bit of Preds. They are in Anaheim tomorrow night. Billy, I think that's a 9 o'clock.
9:30. Yeah.
Something like that. Okay. We'll go to the break, and then we will talk a little about a pro football weekend where by Sunday at 9 o'clock, we'll know who's going to the Super Bowl. This is 94.9, The Fan.
As we step into the new year, there's nothing more important than family and safety. If a car wreck or big truck accident turns your world upside down, Bart Durham Injury Law is here to help. We're local, we're experienced, and we're ready to fight for what you deserve. Call us anytime at 615-242-9000. Really wishing you a safe and happy 2025 from Bart Durham Injury Law.
Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Two total screw-ups of humongous proportions.
Sports. We're not living in an era where perfection is necessary.
They thought they were a championship contending team.
Here, we told you not to do this. Your sports live here.
On ESPN 94.9.
And the Game Nashville Sports Network. It's the George Plaster Show. Your sports live here on 94.9 The Fan.
A week ago, my standard of excellence in the pro football world was incredible.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, thank you.
We don't need to gloat about that.
We are going to gloat. And so my point is, you better pay attention to what it is I bring to the table.
Oh, I'm locked in. I'm locked and loaded.
But a little bit like a week ago, I'm not 100% certain. So I am, quote, maybe hedging my bets a little bit. These are the two games. The early one is the Commanders in Philly to take on EAGLES. The big question mark in that game is the health of Jalen Hurts. I would assume, unless there's a bone sticking out, that he will play.
He's playing.
Now, to what level of effective does he play? I don't know. If he can't run, that's a big problem.
Big problem.
Huge problem.
But you've also got Saquon Barkley in that backfield, and he has been an absolute monster.
Yes, he has. Now,
and the Commanders' run defense is not God's gift of defense.
No, but Jaden Daniels is.
Yeah.
He is a stud.
Can he do enough? He's going to have to do a lot.
I mean, I would have, Billy, if the truth be known, I would have had him eliminated weeks ago. And yet, this kid doesn't play like anybody's rookie.
No, I mean, he did beat the Lions last week.
Now, the other game, there's a real frustration that is built up in Buffalo because while they've been really good, they have not been able to knock down the Chiefs' door.
The Berlin Wall.
A year ago, they couldn't beat them in Buffalo. Lost 30-27. Bitter loss. Josh Allen has taken a ton of crap for what has been a really good career with, it feels like, this mental asterisk, but can't beat Mahomes when it matters. Now, locally, could have said the same thing when the Preds made the run to the Stanley Cup final. The Blackhawks had caused them so much trouble, had caused them so much hurt in a couple of playoff series before, out of nowhere, the Preds as an 8 seed
Sweeps them.
Blitzed them. I believe that if Josh Allen can get this win, that I think you're going to stop hearing all the Josh Allen can't do this and Josh Allen can't do that. The guy's had an MVP year. Whether he gets the award or not, he has had an MVP year. The problem is, so have 4 or 5 other people.
Yep.
Now, let's get to what I think is going to happen. Let's start with game 1. Game 1. I believe that Josh Allen is going to knock down the door this Sunday. Why do I think that? Because I think Kansas City has spent a year in what is dink and dunk. Their offense has become kind of Gerber's baby food with a lot of tight ends, one of whom is a Hall of Famer. The truth of it is, Patrick Mahomes has masked all kinds of deficiencies that Kansas City has. This doesn't feel like a Super Bowl team. But you look up, and oh, by the way, they're 16-1 for the year. So what really is the truth? I don't know. But I got a funny feeling Buffalo is going to play lights out, and they're going to find a way to cover 1.5.
Do you realize what you just did?
What?
You bet against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. I know.
I'm
not comfortable with it.
Yeah. Just want to let you know.
Right. So I give you a straight bet of Buffalo, right?
Yep.
Now notice what I do with the second play.
The
second
teaser.
play is simply EAGLES, unless you find out between now and then that Jalen Hurts isn't going to play, or that he's got a bone sticking out and he can't run, can't move at all. EAGLES, until proven otherwise, is the team you got to play. So you tease them down to a pick 'em.
Okay.
And you take Buffalo and tease them up to 7.5. Buffalo may not win, but they're not going to lose by much. They're going to be right there like everybody else has been.
This is what I would play.
You look at Kansas City's margin for error, it has been slim.
Very slim.
I'm going to throw in a game tonight on the college level, and that would be Purdue at home, which has been
boiler up,
pretty good some nights, not so good other nights.
Michigan's good.
Michigan's pretty good. They got the big kid Igor, what's his name?
It's not Igor. It's not Igor
Golden.
Igor Milicic. It's Vlad Golden.
Okay, yeah. Igor.
No.
So they got the big kid in the middle.
And another 7-footer that runs pick and roll with him. So that's
right.
That's tough to stop.
How do you get around him?
Danny Wolf runs the point as a 7-foot guy a lot.
Screw it. I'm going Michigan.
You're going Michigan instead of?
No, I'm sorry. I'm going Purdue.
I was going to say,
you got that?
Already flipped it?
And we have a late add-on.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What might that be?
Vandy.
Wow. Are you just doing that because Griff did it?
No.
Why are you betting Vandy?
Billy, first of all, I only do what I believe. I don't let people like you influence my decisions.
Sure. I mean, I can see it.
I don't know. There's just something about them.
The way they play
right now that is really intriguing to me. Now, there is no doubt that Kentucky could shoot lights out and it be a little like Mississippi State, and they're not in it. But I don't think so. I think when you get Memorial Gym at its best, it was last Saturday, it will be equally just as loud, if not louder.
And listen to this. I did the research. There's not a single Kentucky player on their roster that has ever played at Memorial Gym. And, that matters, I think. Now, the coach, it's not as hard or different as it used to be than every other place because the coach can stretch out to the sideline now. When the coach was stuck on his baseline, I mean, that was hell for visiting teams. Now it's a little bit different, but still these guys might walk in here. It's going to be loud. The students are right there, like Mark Griffin said, and it's different. And they might be a little off, but that's something to remember too.
Yeah. Who knows? The bottom line to it is that home court ought to be worth something tomorrow. It will be very loud.
Well, Tennessee was favored by 6.5.
Right.
And you've already seen the respect that Vanderbilt's getting here. It's just a 3.5-point line. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes down a little bit.
So under the category of, I've been to a lot of games at Memorial Gym. The last time it was as loud as it was Saturday was when college basketball game day came to town.
2012.
And a Kentucky team that was going to go undefeated until they got to the Final Four and Wisconsin beat them. That's the last time I've ever heard Memorial Gym like it was last Saturday. What you're seeing, if you're watching the podcast, is a picture I took from near ground level.
It's a great picture.
Late in the game. It really is a great picture. So that's what I'm doing.
I like the second play of the Eagles pick 'em, and then the
it's
Bills
kind of an
covering
insurance.
7.5.
It's kind of an insurance play.
I don't like
Buffalo's
the first one.
Buffalo's not losing by 7.5.
Yeah, I like that, and I like Vandy too. I think Vandy can win.
I want to see Buffalo win. I want Josh Allen
do too, but
to get. I don't know if their defense is good enough, but I'm also not sold that Kansas City can hurt Buffalo the way they've been able to in the past.
The Eagles are, for anybody out there wanting the Chiefs to lose, the Eagles are the better hope. I think, because their defense with Jalen Carter, the Georgia Bulldogs, basically. Smith, I mean, that's a legit defense that the Eagles have. I think the Eagles have a better shot at beating the Chiefs than the Bills.
Good.
They got to get by the Commanders, though.
Jaden Daniels. God, if he does it again.
The first rookie ever to make a Super Bowl. Rookie quarterback. And you're fact-checking me again.
David Woodley. Dolphins.
Incorrect.
You certain about that?
Yes.
This is great radio, isn't it?
Because you keep fact-checking me.
It was, might be.
To start. He could become the first rookie quarterback to start in a Super Bowl.
Oh, David Woodley.
Woodley did not start in that game.
Okay. Anyway, who cares?
Apparently you.
Well, I did until I was wrong. Okay.
Again.
We're done. Enjoy wherever and whatever you watch tomorrow. Vandy games at 1:30. I think the Tennessee game's at 7:30. 7. Buck Showalter speaks at Lipscomb's baseball banquet, and we got all the pro football on Sunday. See you Monday on 94.9 The Fan.